stamping friends, welcome back. Sandi MacIver here. Hope you're having a great week. Today I'm going to show you how I used my Tombow markers to color this pretty image. This is called Harmony and it's from Penny Black. I'm using 3 shades of blue, a dark, medium, and light, and I start by adding the dark, then the medium, then a little bit of light, and I'm doing one flower at a time because you don't want ink to get completely dry. Then it becomes extremely hard to move around. So get your colors in there and then get your water brush going and start blending those colors. And you'll see I keep flicking back to the paper towel. Your water brush will pick up some of the ink, and when you go to the lighter sides of the petals, you don't want the dark ink from the center to go in, so I flick it off. And then you'll see that I go back in with my brown marker, and that's my preference is a 969. It's chocolate brown. And I add a little bit of brown for the shadows, and then I blend it out with my water brush. And I'm just blending the blues here. This nice big flower gives you a really good kind of description of how to add the brown. As soon as I finish playing, there we go. See, add the brown in, and then bring your brush back. And then don't forget to clean your brush off with the brown. That's what I flicked it again, just to make sure that it was clean. And you'll see here that I do a couple of flowers at the same time. And you have to be careful with this because this is where you'll notice that it doesn't blend as well because the ink has been given a little bit longer time to dry. So, and then I keep seeing little things on my other flowers that I want to go and fix. And you can do that. You can go back and you can wet it and blend it a little bit more. Plus you can add more ink to it. And try and add the ink when it's dry. It makes it a little bit easier on your markers. And just, you can add more dark blue to make a darker highlight down the bottom if you want, like I just did there. And now I'm adding the brown and coming back and blending it in. And I decided to keep this really simple, and I decided for some reason to go with brown stems and little buds because I really like brown and blue together, and I decided that's what I wanted to do with this card, and I wanted to make a background wash to go behind it as well. So that was kind of why I chose these 2 colors. Plus I was using the brown for the highlighting, and I just thought it would blend nicely together. So there you go. There's a fast version of how I painted this entire little, well actually it's not little, it's a fairly good size. I did a 3.5 by 6.5 piece of the watercolor paper to do this on, and I black embossed it ahead of time. I think I forgot to tell you that at the beginning of the video. Sorry about that. Anyway, just finishing up adding a little bit of brown, and I decided it was a little bit too light, so I added a second layer so you can see how you can add more color and then just blend it in again. So there's no dye for this flower, so I fussy cut this little guy out, and I used my craft knife, my X-Acto knife, to do the little center pieces. And a couple things here. Make sure your piece is really dry and cut those first before you do your outline so you've got lots to hold on to. Next I'm going to create a quick background, and I'm using my Gansai Tambis, and I use number 47 brown, number 57 in the teal blue, and I blend in some water, and I'm hitting my paper dry. I will add more water as I go, but I kind of wanted to keep the 2 a little bit separate. I didn't want them completely blending just because of the colors. It would kind of turn to mud. So you see I'm adding a bit of water just to lighten it and blend it around, and then I wick up some of the puddles with a dry piece of paper towel and just blending it out. And then I ran over and I heat dried it with my heat tool just so I could keep going on this card. For the sentiment, I white heat embossed on a larger piece of black. That way I can pop it into my cutter, as you're seeing here, and line it up against the metal edge, not the plastic one. That one confuses me all the time. And slice it off, and you get a nice, long, skinny sentiment without having to use a die. To create the frame, I used 2 of the stitch square dies, laid them inside each other, ran them through my die cutting machine, and then pulled them out, and you end up with 3 pieces that you can use. I'm using the middle piece, but I have a UFO drawer, and I pop those in there for other cards. Have all my pieces created, now I can start putting my card together. So I'm using my score tape on the back of my mat, and I already have my watercolor paper on it, and my watercolor paper was wet and lumpy, so I really like to mat when I get to this stage. It helps to keep it flat. And then I'm going to attach it to an A2 card base, and that is 4 1/4 by 11 scored at 5.5. There we go. And I've got to trim my sentiment and pop it down there, but I'm not setting it in yet. I'm going to put my flowers in frame on first, so I'm just kind of dry fitting everything, seeing where I want it to go. And now I'm going to add small pieces of foam tape to the back so that it pops up a little bit on my finished card. I like to go a little bit outside the box when I put these together, so you'll notice that I'm letting the frame go all the way to the edge on the left, and the very tips of the flowers at the top are at the extreme top of my card. And my final embellishments is a little bit of the Nouveau Stone Drops, and I'm using rusty iron in here. I did not realize that that came in a kit that I got from Tonic and is not available, so what I would recommend is Gold Rush, and you'll see me flapping my card. I'm actually banging it on my table to flatten down those drops just a little bit. So that finishes those cards, and I have another quick one for you here with a nice white background. I use this awesome embossing folder from Carabella Studios for a clean and simple look. Just love that background. And you'll see me using my black Copic. I had a little stray piece of white embossing powder, and it was showing up, and you can cover it just quickly with a Copic marker. For a list of all the supplies I used today, you can just click underneath my video, and there's also a free PDF over on my blog for you for both of these cards. And thank you so much for visiting today. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. And until next time, toodles!